I'm sorry, we're starting a few minutes later than we usually do, and we're going to review intimacy. We're going to say a little bit of personal stuff personally, but I also want you guys to ask questions as well. Like, this is our finale session of intimacy with the World Bnei Akiva Boyz, and hopefully the sessions have been helpful so that you can go ahead with a little bit more clarity, a little bit more focus, a bit more success. Because finding a partner is not an easy thing to do. Keeping a partner is even harder, and to have a happy life, happy wife, all that kind of stuff, it's going to take work, and everyone needs help in this area. Anyone who thinks they don't is lying or fooling themselves. Yeah. So this is just something which is a challenge. We're all going through it. Like, I'm just as much part of this session as you guys. It's not like I'm coming, but I've mastered it. Told you that in the past things, a bunch of the points we brought up, like listening, for example, I'm still struggling with. It's not an easy thing to listen to someone, especially when she's a woman, because women have a different way of talking. Come in, because other guys will come in like, sit in, like, yeah, feel comfortable, relax. This is our last session, so we might as well make it work. Might as well make the most of it. One of the things we discussed, time. So there's nothing more precious than time. So using our time in this World Bnei Akiva, we really have to get the most out of it. So personally, I just came back from England, and I think it will be a little bit of connection to what we're going to discuss as we review the points. I hope you guys got some of the points, so I'm not just reviewing it myself. It means something you actually listened and gained from everything we've discussed these many months. And I was in London, and I got to see a lot of old friends, a lot of family, and I was at a party. This was just, wow. Where was it? Monday? So this was just Saturday night, yeah?
Where was it?
Party was in a very cool event hall in Temple Fortune, yeah? So my friends own it. It was their party, yeah? So, and they have another... I don't want to say names so much, because just in case. But the previous week was a different event hall which they also own. My brother had his party there with his twins and everyone. So it was Bar Mitzvah, the first one I went to, the first Shabbat Saturday night. And the last Saturday night, which I just wanted to discuss, was a Bat Mitzvah. And this was I don't know, anyone saw the Adam Sandler movie?
Yes.
So it's like that, but maybe more.
How? How is 12-year-olds? What?
12-year-olds, yeah. It was more bling, literally. I got this from the party. Well, the reason, how did I get this dollar sign? They were giving out endless bling for shoes, for trainers. So you can have every kind of swag on your trainers, yeah? Dollars, trains, everything kind of thing.
Do they have the pound symbol or just dollars?
It was those, I don't know why, dollars. I don't know why Americans, you guys get the
we do have the
swag. But anyway. And that was one thing. And then they had the tattoo stuff, fake tattoos. So, one of the, I don't want to say who, but one of my family members had tattoos on it. And then you could get makeup done. You could get, obviously they always have photo booth things that they had at the other bar mitzvahs I went to. That's a bit more standard. Then they had all this endless swag, swag. I think I came away with a t-shirt and a hat, but there was so much stuff. And my family in the merchandise business, and they had less stuff than these guys. And there was just endless food and drink, endless, kept coming and coming and coming. The good news was it was all high kashrut, so I could eat it. That was the one before I had to have a special kosher thing, hamolis thing. So it was really nice just to be there, be relaxed with my kids, and they got to see a lot of my old friends. And this is a relevant part of the intimacy course. So people have been saying to me that they're friends with some of the girls that I'd hooked up with before, yeah? And it's come up in stories and discussions, and my name had come up, and they were like, wow, he's changed so much, I remember him at this, such and such, and we got together. Anyway, so suddenly I'm standing at this party, and I'm with my son and a few friends, and suddenly these 4 girls are standing there, every one of them I'd hooked up with. Oh my God. And they're all this is 28 years later or something, yeah? Just throwing out a number, I think it was 28, something like that. And they're all standing there, all 4 of them, and my son's seeing this scene, And I'm like, yeah. And one of them was like, oh yeah, I remember that house party, or you used to make the best house parties, or that thing, or that ball, or it was like some of them were a bit embarrassed and wandered off, like it was just like an interesting mix of stories. So the point was that experience affected my son a little bit, because one thing talking about something, it's another thing seeing it in person many years later. And obviously I met some of their husbands. Unfortunately, one of their husbands passed away, so that's sad. But it was just interesting to be there and reconnect to all these souls that I'd connected with, and in different ways. And it just sort of was closure for me a little bit, on all those situations the way I used to live, and I really connected with my friends. There's a deep connection with my family. There's a deep connection that's beyond. And I said that to one of the girls there, who's now married to one of my best friends. I said to her, I feel connected to you guys even when I'm not with you. And I haven't been with you for years. I'm living in Israel. But I feel connected. And that's the beauty of our people. That's something you got to take with us. That it doesn't need a kiss to symbolize that. It's just an intrinsic truth that we're, as a people, world Bnei Akiva, we are Am Yisrael. We're together. It's important to think that way, to have a little bit of clarity that we're one soul. Yeah, the Yaakov Avinu, you go back, this week's parsha is bringing down souls. That's our ancestry. Yeah, YITZCHAK, he's got 4 wives from this parsha. Yeah, you try to do it one girl, 4 wives. So he is bringing down all the souls, and we're here. So we're still here, and we're still telling the same story. And there's no other people around who've got such a history in all of humanity. So we have to really internalize what we are, who we are, and how it goes back. And that's what I feel about my family in London and friends. I really felt connection to all of them. So now we're going to just run through the course, but I need you guys to ask questions as I go. Please.
I have an important question.
Yeah.
When you said going into a relationship is hard and keeping a woman's harder, how do I know that the relationship that I'm going into, per se, is going to be one that's healthy? Because there's been times where I got into relationships and I think this is going to work out, and it just doesn't. What are some signs I can look for?
Good question. Yeah, let's go do one more question. Maybe it will connect. Go on then. So he doesn't have to hold his arm up. Go on.
Okay, what happens if my girl enjoys pegging me? Is that because think about it. Because
but do you enjoy having that happen? You let? I'm asking.
No, listen. Because I don't enjoy pegging, but if she's freaky.
I like how significantly, as he asks this, his yarmulke falls off. It's very appropriate. Huh?
What actions are halachically not allowed?
Okay, so good. So we've got 3 really powerful questions. His is the most fun, but yours is the most relevant, and yours is very important. Yeah, but go on.
I have a serious question.
Yeah.
What's the actual prohibition of Shomer Gia? Because I'm not Shomer Gia, but so many people aren't. But I still keep shops and kosher.
Cool.
So am I a religious Jew, or am I not?
All right, that's our 4th question, and that should hopefully, we'll leave that for the summary, of what, because it's a very good question. So you have to stick around.
Because is it
that's the end point of what we're going to do today, because I like that. That's important what he's asking.
No, because let me actually explain to me, because I said he was.
I'm going to come to it.
Even
I'm going to come to it.
Not allowed. I'm still not.
No, I heard it. He wants to really get the question clear. I hear it. So, okay, so let's first get to first things first, the first question. So, remember, the first point of the course is being proactive. So we've got to make, and these questions actually line up very well with what the course. So, it's perfect. Everything's flows. That's one of my things. Relationship flow, unity flow. That's my podcast names. Everything flows. It's just not whatever. He asked this, he asked that. It's not whatever. If something's happening, it's because it's supposed to happen. The conversation's supposed to be this way. Seems fun, seems random, but it isn't. So now, your question. Being proactive. You've got to go out and initiate relationships. That means you've got to take a little bit of a risk, go out your comfort zone, and meet people that might be good, might not be. Now, one thing I do, I'm just being honest, and I'm a spiritual focused kind of person, I pray that I shouldn't get caught up with the wrong people. That's first things first. Because there's a higher force that's running this thing. And I'm asking, please don't hook me, connect me, business-wise, anything with people that are going to screw me. Yeah, that's first things first. Second thing is, in terms of women, generally women do have a lot of like good values, like especially Jewish women, bless you, generally, like they want to be valued as well. They want to be respected, and so there's potential there in that sense to like find someone that you can connect with, because you're seeing someone who's got value and wants to be valued. But the problem can be that culturally they're different. We've mentioned this before. They can have a different lifestyle, different background that just doesn't flow with yours.
It's okay to date a woman from a different culture.
That's fine, but it doesn't have to be. The concept of opposites attract are only when they somewhat complete each other, when they help each other and benefit each other. Sometimes opposites can actually create division.
So you're saying that I should only stick to like Ashkenazi?
No. But it just know that there's going to be cultural challenges from different places, because some communities, for example, Farsis, they only really marry Farsis.
Right. So
when I had a friend who tried to get engaged to a Farsi, and he did, and it looked all great on the outside, but what happened?
They divorced.
The engagement broke. They didn't get married, because by the time it came down to the final story, what took place? That it got difficult. It got challenging when it came to actually hook up, and because there was so much cultural stuff going down, and all her life she'd only been with Farsis, and now she's with this guy who's like in a different lifestyle completely. Like it. Also financially, if you're very wealthy, if you're very, very wealthy, or you have to be sensible that some girls might be gold diggers,
Right.
Like that's a real thing, or the other way around. And if you're being a gold digger, it might seem fun, but there's going to come at a price to be a gold digger. Everything has a price. So if you have to like go into each relationship assessing like, is this the real thing, or is this just like on some level we connect, but it's not the full.
How do you know that?
So we mentioned like some guys got upset. I don't know if he's here even, but like that magic, that deep inner feeling. Yeah, not everyone is going to look in the eyes and be able to connect to that other person, see in the other person's eyes that they're soulmates. No one's going to get that. But for example, there's many levels of things that prove, or ways of describing proof that this is going to work. One, the conversation flows. You really can communicate well. Talk. You just want to keep talking. You want to tell her about your life. She wants to tell you about her life. And she wants to listen about your life. You want to hear about hers. You really are interested in each other, genuinely. That's a huge plus. Because communication is going to be a massive part of a relationship.
She's going to be a gold digger and she's not asking me those questions. Do you think that a gold digger would also be interested in my life? Or do you think she just...
Yeah, so you have to figure out if it's genuine or not. Genuine and being authentic, being loyal, all those kind of important parts of human connection. Yeah, if you start to sense it's not genuine, and some of the stories she's telling is not genuine, you don't want to lie,
No, for sure.
So these are things so through communication you're going to figure out a lot, and through talking out and getting that flow. That's really important. You enjoy each other's company and you care about it. Another thing is you get this, we mentioned already, we touched on it, this feeling. There's a deep feeling of this is something special. I'm really excited about this person. I'm starting to be attracted to this person. There's certain feelings that are going on. And then there's the intellectual aspect where you have to figure out on paper, does this match? Where we're both born, family backgrounds, and then we went through this. This brings us to the second point of the course. And remember, this meant you have to do the homework. Do you have a mission statement, goals, dreams, values? If you have clearer who you are, it will be much easier on paper to match up with her. You need all the aspects. You need the conversation, that's the point of connection. You need the emotional, the feelings, you're excited, you're inspired, you're attracted. And then you need the intellectual. And the attraction also is going to be very connected to the physical, obviously. But to only say purely physical, then you're missing the connection, you're missing the on-paper stuff. Then she could be a gold digger, she could be anything. Yeah. And if you're once again, if you're not trying to look deeper into, one of the things, I was speaking to this girl, and probably why I connected with her back then and she married my best friend, is because she says, I want to get to the root of things. You have to try to see past a little bit what the show they're putting on. Because everyone's putting on a show initially. You want to make good impression, yeah, but you have to get to the person. There's a person inside there. And that takes a bit more meetings, conversations, different scenarios. Like I remember I was on a date with my wife, and we were in Jerusalem. It was before the new bus station had been built. That's how long ago it was, 23 and a half years ago. So we were standing there, it was summertime, boiling hot, and it was just like a lot there, like a car park where we were standing.
New Delhi. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it was a different world. So anyway, so this guy came up, poor guy came up, and the way my wife dealt with him and gave him tzedakah, like really like impressed me, you know? So it's like there's kind of like experiences. She wasn't my wife then, she was like, we were just dating, but there was like these moments where things are going to come your way. Fine, if she's a really good gold digger, she'll set up all these things, whatever. Most normal people aren't doing that. We're not living in a movie, yeah? Most people you're meeting are, chai b'seret. You're meeting normal people who, you got to just figure it out, like, as you're going. So you got to assess. But that second point then, once again, that you need to have your mission statement. You need to get clear what you're doing there. That means you have to do some self-work. I can't do it for you. The world, Bnei Akiva, your parents can't do it for you. Your teachers can't. Nobody can do it for you. Your girlfriend can't do it for you. You're going to have to figure out who you are, what you're good at, what you want to do in life, what your goals are, what your dreams, what your missions are, and that will help align yourself with another person. The problem is a lot of people aren't doing that work, so they're just aligning with, well, she's got big whatever, yeah, or she's this, yeah, and that's a very so what? That's not going to past a certain point. That's going to end, and then what are you going to have together? Yeah. So you want to have that goals and dreams and visions. That's stuff that goes past all the short-term gains. Yeah. This is long-term, and that's important. Now that's why it's just part of your life. Okay, your question.
Yeah, are you saying for us to find someone with the same interest, or find someone that could fit our interests?
I think it's both. Yeah, I think a lot of these ideas you need balance, and you need both. Because remember, Yaakov, he's this week. He's working off balancing out kindness and judgment. Yeah, it's all about balance. So you need to be interested in them and also self-interest, and you need both. Because if it's all about one thing, then you don't see the fuller picture. You don't really connect to the person fully, and then it's too much off balance, like the relationship. It's not going to be a healthy, full experience. Yeah, go on. So we carry on. You want to ask more? Did that make sense? You're going to have both. Okay, so now let's get to his question, yeah? Yeah, the second one. Yeah? The pegging. So
That was a complete joke.
No, I'll answer it. Look, the idea of relationship, this is going to bring us to the third point, using your time effectively. Now, obviously that he was joking around, but the idea of pegging someone, yeah, like you don't achieve anything, yeah, for a man anyway, and women neither also, really.
You achieve a stress and bloody ass.
Yeah, exactly. So that's no point, yeah. The point is, part of the way God made man and woman is you can achieve the most ultimate potential, which is, bringing down souls and becoming one with another human being, and that's like a static feeling of becoming one with another human being. When we seem to be so separate, we've got our own, home, we've got our own financial situation, and you actually can join up physically, basa echad, and become one with another human being. If you think about the concept of marriage, it's a very profound, deep reality, and it teaches us a lot about what life's about. And that's part of what we need to do. We need to think about marriage in a way that, or relationships in a way that gives us an insight into what we're here in this world for, rather than just think of it as just fun. Because what's happened is basically the world has tried to loosen up the whole relationship thing into just a pure sexual experience and just some sort of distorted version of what it is. Whereas really it's the ultimate way of understanding our relationship with another human being, a relationship with God, a relationship with ourselves. It's a tremendous, profound experience, and it's been loosened up to whatever. So that's something which we have to fight, that fake reality and become more authentic. Like AI is coming our way. Sex dolls is coming our way. Yeah, even this Pornhub guy, remember we mentioned him, the Solomon Friedman rabbi dude. So there's already been another follow-up podcast from someone else who worked there who's saying that they really are not living up to what they're trying to do, which is try to step the whole game up a level to make it a bit more legal and with, above only adult age and adult consent. There's so much baggage going on in these places. So, because really, once you're involved with that world, it really is a fallen place. Like, it's almost impossible to fix it in some ways. And then we're seeing that in Hollywood, we're seeing that in the acting world, we're seeing it in the music world. Like, it's a pretty fallen space. You have to just be real. Like, so I don't want to be part of that fallen space. I want to have happiness in this world. So even though these people are having short-term, look like they're living it up, but look, there's always going to be an end to it. So we have to realize the end in mind, have a goal in mind. And the third point we said is about being effective with our time. You have time with this person, use it to connect. You have time with your family, your friends, use it to connect. Don't be distracted. We have a time in World Bnei Akiva, prioritize. Now, one of the things is you don't want to be taking care of emergencies all the time. You don't want to constantly be wasting your time on social media and all those different funnels of waste. You have to find time to live the fullest life. And that means finding out what is important in life and putting your most time and energy into that and getting the important things done in life and making that the priority again and again, day after day. And you will be challenged. So the minute you wake up, I remember I walked into a program once, a guy's lying with a phone in his hand asleep. The phone in his hand asleep.
To where once?
To a program once. I had to wake them up or something. The guy's lying there with his hand, like phone in his hand. Yeah. So like, what are you going to do? What'd you do with that? Like, so you don't want to wake up with a phone in your hand. You want to wake up with a day ahead of you and what to do with your day. The phone can't rule you. You rule it. It's there for you. It's not there to control you. And that's like so many things that we're dealing with nowadays. And that takes a lot of self-discipline and organization. And in relationships, that's going to be key, because how many times even in London did I see wives getting upset with their husbands? She's like, again, he's on his phone. Again, he's on his phone. You've come back to England. You're only here for a short time. Your son's in Lebanon. You're going through stuff. Your family members should be talking to you, not on his phone. But what's happened? He's like being controlled by his business, his phone. Everything comes first. So the relationship between me and that relative is like chetzi. It's like a bit like weak. So all the more so when you're with your girl, she's not going to accept it. If you're just busy like DMing some Instagram model or something, it's not going to work. Anyway, so that's the second.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
I think I've always had a rule, just in general, like when I'm on dates, doesn't matter if it's like even serious or I'm just phone. I just don't go on my phone like at all. Like,
amazing. Respect.
Because it makes people like in general feel that they're less like worth it. Like listen,
Sure.
If a girl goes on her phone while she's on a date with me, listen, if like she's like, oh, my mom texted me, okay, fine.
Sure.
Like, what are you gonna do? But if she's like, really like on her phone, you could just like tell she's just not even worth your time.
Right.
If she's not worth like even making. If she doesn't want to even make eye contact with you, she's not.
Right. And we said eye contact is incredibly important, like in relationship aspects. So if you're on the phone, literally the screen, you're looking at the screen more than you're looking at the girl, that's also a point. You need to figure that one out. Either she's not that interesting to you, like we asked before, your point, or you're not able to engage interest because you're just addicted or whatever it is. So you have to deal with that. You have to face that issue. Okay, so that's the third point. Living time properly, life is a gift. Use it. Use the relationships opportunities well. Be focused and be present. And then we get to the fourth point: win-win. You got to win. So now that brings your question again. Yeah. For your question. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, because I thought it was in a row. You remind me again exactly the point.
From a halakhic view.
Okay. So now this answers up a lot of the issues. That your question answers it. Now remember, this is a flow. I didn't know what you're going to ask, but it fits our summary perfectly. How is this so amazingly? How does it fit the fourth point? Because the fourth point is about win-win. You want her to win. You want the relationship to win. You want her to feel valued. The win-win concept, the fourth concept that we talked about, now it's not just about you. You've done all your inner work. You're proactive. You've got goals. You know who you are. You've got your focus. You're there. You're present. You're living life. Now you want her to win. You want her to succeed. Now you're able to go out of yourself and actually care about her life and what she's involved with, and you're trying to promote her life story to her, to the people around you. You are into her. You want her to win. Now, part of intimacy, this brings us to your point, is very much the same kind of concept, that it's all about her. Intimacy really means intimacy. Come to see me inside, like you're connecting to her. In Al Pi Halacha, in Torah, the goal is to pleasure her. Ona, her pleasure. That's the obligation in the Kasuba. It's a marriage contract. You have an obligation to pleasure her, not pleasure yourself, to care about her pleasure. That's a different way of experiencing relationships than the way the world teaches you. Yeah, let's be honest. It's about pleasuring her needs. So that is a lot of the halakhic ramifications. That's why the pegging thing makes no sense, because unless she's messed up, like she's gone through something crazy, most normal women will not want to do that. They want emotional, sensitive. It's a process. The intimacy is a process, and they will guide you mostly what they need you to do. Anyway, it all needs to be consensual anyway. But most of the stuff a man wants to do probably is not what she wants to do initially. If you've been watching things you shouldn't be, and you've been your mind's thinking in ways it shouldn't. So most of the time it's about now, what does she need? What does she need? And that's where it becomes a whole. Instead of getting into all the rule books, it becomes an actual key to relationship happiness. Because now you're not thinking about the black and white halacha. You're thinking about what can I give to her, because the halacha wants me to benefit her. And that's the beauty of the Torah system. That there's a lot of flexibility there now, because it's about her. And a woman will guide you through that. So if you go, I'll just give you like Al Pi Halacha what it actually says. We'll do this very quickly. I wasn't planning on doing this, but you asked. So it says in Orach Chaim, in Reish Mem Beis, it says over there, very strict parameters of what you can do with a woman. It even uses very intense language, like it's like a demon tempting you. And it's like Rabbi Eliezer, it's very like Masada Din, it's more judgment, it's more like, the way, very strict, holy, like limited way of how you connect with this woman, because it's something which is difficult and for you spiritually, and you want to limit what's going on. The second, then, you don't want to miss this, man, because I'm going to the next part. Tissues? Anyone got tissues? I just don't want you to miss this part. It's important because it will be out of context. Bro, I don't want you to miss this. Don't leave, please. 2 minutes, seriously. Hold it in 2 minutes, seriously. I'm sorry. Really, because otherwise, and I also want to ask your question at the end. Remember? So the point is, I knew you'd want to bounce, and I had to give you a way to keep you here. You'll survive 2 minutes. So listen, so now, the second point is Eben Ezer. So that's a different part of Ezer. This is a different part of Shulchan Aruch, which says, Rabbi Yeshua, which is more like the side of kindness, his approach is, what I said already before, that you have to give what she needs. So if she needs you to kiss in places at Al Pi Halacha, you shouldn't really, there's even room, there's room based on that concept, that it's about giving to her. So if she is asking for that and wanting that, instead of you imagining she wants that, but it actually is what's happening. So then you can go into those places that usually would be considered a bit too much, but now for the sake of Shalom Bayis, for the sake of connecting to her in a deep way, the halakha allows you. There's much more room.
You can use a condom?
No, we're now. Condom we mentioned already. The problem is with a condom is the seed does not reach her rechem in any way. Yeah, her inner way. So it's just going into a bag and throwing in the.
She's not gonna get the pleasure if she's gonna take the pills.
So the pills has a problem. These are a lot of different points. The pills has a problem that it has a lot of hormone dysfunction. Like women can freak out from pills, and if you've ever experienced it, I know about it. It's a real issue. So you make sure it's the right kind of pills. Very important. If she's on the pill, make sure it doesn't have hormone dysfunction. Like it can create all kinds of, like any drug a person does. There's what's called side effects, or there's other words for it. But the point is, it can create imbalance in her well-being, and that's really rough on a woman. So you have to work that out. That the condom is a problem because the seed's not going to the rechem, and the seed's not allowed to be spilt unless it goes to the rechem. It's not allowed to come out unless it goes. That's what halacha is, and that's why condom. We don't work with condoms. We have other tools. There's so many different. What's it called? IVF. I think is one of them. There's a coil. There's all kinds of stuff women can do that the seed still goes to the place, but it doesn't. The spermicide. It prevents the seed from getting to the place which creates a baby. Yeah, go on.
I was like, it's
and that's allowed.
Pleasure because she's. like affected by the pills.
Yeah.
Is pills like something she can't be affected by? Like
There are maybe some pills that they've got to a point where they've actually come up with some pills that don't make every kind of woman a bit crazy for that time period. Maybe there are some stuff that's out there that works and some women don't get affected by it. But it has changed. The whole reason there's so much change in society, one of the main factors is the fact of birth control has really impacted the role of a woman and the whole of way we all connect now. It's changed so much. It's a massive impact. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to end off with his point. What was your last point again? Huh? So Shomer Negiah, that this is important. So the idea of not just touching whatever you want, whenever you want. We've mentioned already, self-control is a big part of this whole process. Meaning you are, to benefit her, means you've got some level of self-control. Would you say?
What if I have no self-control?
So that's the problem. That's where a lot of people now.
What if you have self-control, but you just control yourself to one person?
Well, a lot of people now need to like get some sort of outside, or at least work it through what's going on with this kind of stuff, because it's not just I'll just wing it, because it can really impact your own self-esteem, and if it's an addiction, you need to deal with that.
Like I low-key just feel.
And to have one person that you have, like you're saying, you're only with her, you'll be a bit wild, but everyone else you're in control. So that is probably a lot of people's marriages, probably. But that's not the best, huh?
Maybe she really get after you already had sex with someone else.
So you can always be Shomer Negiah any minute of your life, because it's an option. This is the whole thing. Does it make you religious or not? That was his real point. Yes, you can be religious any second, because the whole thing of religious, it's not like this very black or white, and it's a label. It's a process of getting to know yourself. Yeah, there's halachas of what you can touch. Yeah, because for example, the Torah wants you to have boundaries between you and a woman. So even when you're married, there's boundaries when she's nida, when she's bleeding, or hasn't gone to the mikveh yet. There's boundaries all the time between a man and a woman, because the energy there is very intense and powerful. And if it goes in the wrong way, it could lead to all kinds of wrong relationships, which you see that the general world doesn't have these boundaries as much, so they're just gone. So ideally, obviously, you want to keep the religion the best you can, but it's a process of getting there. And to say, I'm this or that, very superficially, is not the point. You're a Jew. You have a connection to God no matter what. You have a soul, and that's always relevant. No matter what you're doing. You pray, you're connected. You don't pray, you're still connected. Is it better to pray? Yeah. The more the relationship you have with God, the better. But being the same with a woman, if there's this energy potential to connect in the most powerful way, then you have to protect that energy, because it's going to either get distorted and come out in the wrong way, and it would lead you, like I explained in my story with my ex-girlfriend back in the day. The burning and the pain I felt from that messed up relationship wasn't about being religious or not. It just messed me up as a person. I wasn't functional. And therefore, Torah wants us to function. Yeah? It wants us to live. Chai b'chem. It wants us to enjoy being in this world in a healthy, balanced way. It doesn't want us to be broken-hearted and non-functional and all this energy going in wherever. Yeah, go on.
So I kind of got two questions. So one, what are the main things you need to tick off when getting to know, when trying to find
that soulmate,
a person, the goals and ambitions, stuff like that. What are the main things that you need to you should really
prioritize?
And number two,
good
a lot
question.
of doctors recommend that if your wife is pregnant, it helps with the labor process if you have sex with them while they're pregnant.
Agreed.
So do you think
that's true?
That's
a Torah thing also. Torah, the Gemara brings it. Everything that's in the doctors know, anything that anyone talks about, it's in the Talmud, it's in the Torah, and if you are looking for it enough, you'll find it. And it says there that it whitens the vlad. It makes it's somehow the energy of the man being with the pregnant lady, it gives energy to the vlad. It makes the baby more life, more force, more energy. And it's a continuous process. You conceived it, but now you're adding more and more energy. Remember, I said it's downloading. It's healthy for it, yeah.
For pregnancy?
It's healthy for the pregnancy. Now, what happens the last part, the last semester, is when you're having relations, what it can do is it can start to create, it can lead to some of the signs of a birth. Like it starts to create some, what's it called when it starts? Contraction, thank you. I forget all these words. I haven't had a baby for like 13 years with my wife, but it starts to create contractions, and those contractions can sometimes lead to birth, but often don't. They just create contractions. They feel a little bit, it's like a prep before the real thing. But I was blessed, and I'll be honest, that I had relations, I think, each time before my wife gave birth. So I was part of that process of helping it sort of have the contractions that it should be an easy birth. I felt like I contributed, literally. That's a very personal point, but I'm just saying, like that was something that helped. So then it was a healthy, easier labor because my wife was more already in an open, like contractions back and forth state. So it was like, I think it helps very much. Yeah. So, and it's good for the marriage anyway, because you're bonding more and more. And then after that, there's going to be a break for a while, for like a month or two, till she heals. And Al Pitora, you have to wait anyway. Go on.
So my question is about addiction. Like, do you think everyone has like a certain amount of energy that's towards addiction, and you just need to choose what you're addicted to, or some people just don't have an addictive nature?
Okay, so addiction so these are real things that we need to know, that people do have addictive natures, and people do have an inclination for addiction. A lot of addiction comes from a void inside people, or abuse, or good, he came back.
Took a massive shit.
Amazing. Well, your question probably helped that, the first one, yeah. No, I'm just joking. But the you got that one. No, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just responding in kind. The question pegged you. Anyway, but the point was to come back to this. His point about addiction. That there's people have voids, so you have to face your stuff. Otherwise, the stuff's going to face you.
Is that like inevitable?
It's inevitable if you don't face it. You have to deal with it. Everyone has to deal with their stuff. It will with their void. If you have a void, pain, something happened to you in life. Like a lot of kids, unfortunately, find out later in life they had some sort of sexual abuse without even knowing. They were at school, they didn't know what it was. Some teachers, it's common. Like I think it's like there's massive. You look it up online. It's like some stupid amount of people have been at school or some sort of sexual abuse, and they've only realized later on in life. Is when they do some inner work that happened to them when they were a kid. You have to face stuff, because if you don't face it, it will lead to a need to escape, and that escapism is that deep need to escape causes a lot of the addiction. Now, can a person have a chemical inclination to that? For sure, and that's why they need help. And there are so many tools now. The recovery world is amazing. We should all be connected to the recovery world, whether we're addicted in an open way or not, because it's got tremendous tools for self-development. Yeah, it's like something we should be open to hearing about. Yeah, go on.
You didn't answer my first question.
First question was again?
It's about like what are the main things you need to be taking off when understanding a person.
Oh yes, so we'll come back to that, and that's great. Thank you. So that brings us to the fifth point of the course, listening, which I didn't do, as you can see. So listening, but also to really listen to another person, to find out what are your. So I would say the most important goals. One, you have to be able to empty yourself of yourself a little bit to listen to that other person's goals and visions and dreams, what they're into. But what would you say would be the good ones that you'd want to be attracted to? So that's going to be often what you're into is going to be what she's into. So I can't tell you what those things are, because you're going to have to find it out yourself, what it is. So really it's a self-discovery process. And then rather than seeing a relationship thing as, we said it's hard before, remember we mentioned it's hard. But rather than keeping it hard, how do we get it into a fun, happy space is by enjoying that process of getting to know another person. And that doesn't just mean, now you're married, I don't need to know her anymore. Once you're married, that's when it really kicks off. Because it's a constant, deeper journey. And intimacy is taking you onto a whole other level of that when you're married. Because now you're really experiencing the other person, and you get to really know them and explore what they're really into. And you start to find things you were surprised, and you'll be inspired about it. Now, if, God forbid, like our friend over at the beginning said, what happens if you start finding stuff that you're really not into? Toxic stuff. So if you really love her and you were connected at this point and you're married and there's commitment, what you do when there's toxic stuff, like there's stuff that she picked up you didn't know about and you've got stuff, then we come back to the addiction point, you've got to deal with it. You've got to go and deal with it. And that means sometimes there's going to be therapists involved, or there's going to have to be a process of healing, and that's okay. Because you're together and because you're in a safe space together, because you're there for each other, she'll be much better at dealing with it, and you will be also, because you're doing it together rather than separately. And that's, once again, listening allows you to find out really what's going on in that other person. So then you can find goals that you resonate. If you're not listening and you're just full of yourself and your success, and it's all the show to her, eventually the show ends. Have you ever been to a show that never ends? Like they've got these endless streamings online. Every show ends. Yeah, even these never-ending. Simpsons seems to have gone forever, but it will eventually end. Yeah, it somehow will. And the point is that the show must end. So what's this next story? You have to be willing to now face the fact that the show's ended. You can't do this performance anymore with this person, and you've got to actually connect with them in a real way and deal with the stuff. Don't run away from the stuff, because it will lead to other things. And that's why we come to the 6th point. Then you really synergize. When you've really listened, then you really join. And now you and her together can conquer the world. They call it power couples, they call it shalom bias, however you want to describe it. But once you're really bonding together in a deep way, you create a family, you can create a community, you can change the world. That's the power between a man and woman really joining together. You are 10x or beyond that. Your synergization means it's multiples now, because 2 people together are much more effective than 1. That's a general rule. You have someone you really connect, a friend. You must all have someone you're really close with. Everyone must have. Very important to have someone you're close with. When you talk to them, you grow so much. I grew so much from this trip because I had so many conversations, deep conversations with people that I'm old friends with. So I didn't have to go through all the initial show-off stuff. We already know. He knows who I am already. Yeah. You know, what was nice, I'll give you one story that happened. I was sitting on the couch with my friend, and he said to me, when I saw you initially from Israel, I'll be honest, I'll tell you, I never told this to you or to anyone except for my wife. I cried after I saw you initially, because you just seemed like you lost yourself a little bit. It happens to everyone. You come to Israel, you get all spiritual, you sort of get into the community and all the things going on, and you forget about like yourself a little bit. It happens, yeah? I don't think you guys have done that. And Bnei Akiva, maybe, I don't get that vibe you've done that, like you've all bugged out or whatever, yeah? But there are people who bug out. Yeah, I bugged out a little bit for a while. So my friend felt like he lost me a little bit. And then he said, and then suddenly you came back, like a few years later, and we were seeing each other still because we were very good friends. And he said, I really felt like you were back. And he almost like got tearful with me. Like I really felt like I was with my friend again. But obviously you've gone on that journey, so you're bringing all that with you. And now he's got to a point where he's actually interested in my path more. It's taken him a long time. Other friends much quicker. But this guy, it took him a long time. He resisted very much, especially the Jewish stuff. He's like, bacon and eggs kind of guy. Yeah, he likes his breakfast the way he likes it, and he's open now to discuss it a bit more. He started talking to me about stuff I never imagined to talk to me. And this I've been here now 26-7 years. So it took me this long of a friendship to now get to the point where he's ready to connect about stuff I'm passionate about. But we still had enough of a relationship to keep the friendship going. I'm just saying, you have to play the long term with people. Like, there's a long process of getting to know them. It's a process. This whole short-term hookup culture, you're not going to really get the best out of people. You're getting a very low version of them. And that's definitely with women. Women have layers and layers and layers. Remember this. Women have layers. It takes time to get to know them. They're going to be very protective of who they are initially. So you have to be patient. They're even built physically that way. They have a way. They're not going to open up to you just like that. It takes a process to open them up. Yeah. Now, the 7th point, and this is the finale, which is what we're doing now, is reviewing. You can't get anything done unless you really constantly go over what you're here for. You've got all the things we mentioned before, you have to go over and over. And that brings us again to our point here about being religious and that whole thing. If you're going to go around just labeling yourself, I'm Shomer Nagir, and then you have a day where you're not Shomer Nagir and you're playing this game with yourself, like point scores, I did this mitzvah, I did this thing today. It's a very superficial way of dealing with what these things are about. Rather figure out what is Shomer Nagia about. I'm trying to give you the point of it. The point of it is the energy inside of you is precious. Your time in life is precious. The energy of relationships is precious. Your relationships are important. Yeah, start to have a respect for what's going on with this lady, with this woman, with this person. Start to try think a little bit more past your initial urges and think about this as a human being with a soul. Like, I need to get to connect to a soul, not just their butt. Yeah, like we were joking before. But the point is that the physical aspect is a very external point of connection. So if that all it becomes, then that's the idea of Shomer Nagia, protecting you from it only becoming that, this physical expression. So then you're not really connecting to anyone, really. It's a very superficial thing. And they deep down know that as well. Even if they live a life of, let's say, more promiscuity and they're more into just hooking up, deep down they know they don't feel great about themselves. Like sometimes when these women hit me up online, I'm like, I just say to them, look, I know what you're being. Maybe there is just some black Nigerian guy. Yeah, don't mean to be racist, but there's just some guy scamming. Maybe that's what they are. Maybe they're not even.
What are you talking about?
No, they're not even real women. They're just scams. Yeah, who's just trying to make money. Yeah, don't say that. They're. You know what I'm saying? They're not the real who they are, who they claim to be, because it's all bots and who knows what. But if it's a real woman reaching out to you, my message to them is, deep down, I know what you really want. You don't just want the money that you're going to get out of this connection and all this stuff, like prostitutes kind of vibe. You actually want a connection. Imagine if these women could escape this negative circle they've got into, that the only way they get attention is through sex and touching and doing stuff, and they actually have a person who cares about them, and they can actually get fulfillment through a relationship. They would much rather have that. Yeah, agreed. Everyone agrees on that. So we have to be the kind of men that elevate the people around us. Yeah, so that includes women. Yeah, we have to be respectful for who they are. They've got tremendous power, and they have so much to offer you. That's what we don't always think about that. We think, I'm the star, I'm the one making the money, I'm the one this, I'm the one that. It's a lot of man ego. Sometimes we've got to lower our ego a little bit, because the ego is edging God out, and that's a lot to do with addiction, like we talked about before. Ego is very connected to addiction. We have to escape that trap of ego and actually allow the person that we're talking to have a voice and hear that voice. And we'd be surprised how much we can learn. Women have so much they can teach us men. Instead of it looking at what can I get out of them, like physically, look at what can I get them out as a person, like quality values. I can go live my life, and what are they offering in that way? They're offering so much more than just touch. Yeah, they need to know that also. That's where the women hopefully are learning that they shouldn't just think, once they've given it away, let's be honest, we'll end off the point. Yeah, we're ending off the class now. Once a woman gives it away, are you that interested afterwards? You got what you want, move on. That's generally what goes on. So women, when they play their hands very cheap, they're losing out on connection, generally. They're the ones who lose. Men got what we want. We need a release. Yeah, just get what we need to get our pleasures met. They're playing a very low hand, where they're just giving it up easy. So a lot of women should not go play their life that way. Be so easy, because it's not helping them in any way. Yeah, maybe that initial 5 minutes or whatever it was, but after that they're going to feel generally like exposed, vulnerable, used, all the negative stuff that they're going to feel. A man, for his own self-esteem, should try think like, well, if I hold back, I'll have a much better experience with this person, and that person will feel much better about me. She won't feel used. She'll feel respected. She'll feel valued. And now she'll want to start investing her time with you. Her time, she becomes someone she wants to give to and nurture and care about and be there for. Now you've got something which is eternal, it's precious. You've got a relationship. This is the point. The Shomer Nagia thing is just like an external rule. It doesn't make you religious or not. It's about what you really want. You want to really forget about religious. You want to be connected and have a connected life where you're connected to purpose and meaning and happiness. You have to choose a path that protects that.
You can still be connected and happy without controlling.
Yeah, because that's Shomer Nagia. If you're only putting your arm around a woman and it's purely friendship, which is what you're saying, yeah, so fine. But if it becomes purely sexual, then it's unlikely you're really deeply happy. because it doesn't have, we already explained, it doesn't have all those, she's going to feel all those negative things. And once you've got this list of people that feel this way about you, that you're just some guy, just use them for sex or whatever. No, I'm just saying, but just so you have that. You're not going to deep down feel great about your legacy in this world. Yeah? It's like your legacy, your imprint, your impact, you as a person, what you've done with your time and energy, you're not going to feel awesome. What's going to help you feel awesome is real relationships. That's just how it works. So Shomer Negia is just a tool to help you develop those real relationships. So you don't jump to the physical before you've spoken to the person.
Touching women is not actually prohibited.
It's prohibited on a halachic sense, but the point of this course is to help you understand that there's a purpose to the halacha. It's about relationship. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to give over this course. Because if I leave you off, this is forbidden and this is permitted, I didn't teach anything new. You can go to the Shulchan Aruch and open up yourself. What I'm teaching you is remind the purpose of the halacha, and the intimacy is the goal. But you can't just jump there by just banging whatever you want. It has to come from a process of relationship.
But it could be like some stuff like good for some couples and some stuff like some stuff like from halacha it's good for some people.
Yeah, it's very thanks for joining us, man. Thank you. We'll wish you well. But you're right. You're right. It's a very individual thing. Relationships are very individual, and each person needs to not look at other people's relationships, but look at their own.
So like you're looking
you can learn maybe a little bit from other people, but you're going to have to...
Like you're looking at times like for your benefit, but still there's maybe stuff there like it's not for you.
No, but then that's what I'm saying when I brought the example of the two different approaches. For some people who want to be very prudent in their relationships, like they're trying to be a tzaddik, like someone righteous, so they'll look at the Reish Mem Beis in Orach Chaim, which is very strict, and they'll say, that's how I want to relate to this. Problem is, would their wife be fulfilled? Are they doing their rules of the marriage? So the good news is, there's another part of Shulchan Aruch, which is much more lenient, and gives you room to maneuver, and especially when the focus now is not about your spiritual attainments, but it's about are you truly giving her needs? And that gives you the full picture. And that's why halacha is like an organic whole. You have to learn the larger gamut of the books to come out with the right approach for your lady, for your soul. If you just take it superficially and just learn only Reish Mem Beis, you're going to come out with a very strict view of intimacy. And it might not work for most people nowadays, especially with all the tests and all the realities we're in. You'll be a very restricted person in how you're connected to a woman. You don't want to be restricted completely. You need to have where to maneuver, like where you can be permissible and where it's healthy and it's good. And the halakha says, yeah, this is good. And I can still feel like a holy person giving her needs that go a little bit beyond what the other part of the halakha said, because it gives me room over here. And this is the balance of learning the fuller picture rather than just taking one thing and just being, gung-ho about my spirituality or my permissiality. You have to bring the whole picture.
In some sense, it doesn't really matter as long as it's in the confines of a real relationship.
Yeah, that's really the point. That it's really about connection. And that's the difference of our generation, of all the generations before, is it's got to a point where nobody just wants to keep halacha just because it says. And almost. There are some still diehards, yekas or whatever they are. But it's got to a point in our generation where people want to, especially most of the new generation, based on all the tests and all the exposure that we're getting, they want to find the real thing. The real God, the real relationship, the real Judaism, the real spirituality. Nobody's looking for some sort of just like, robotic experience so I can just, live up to society's values or whatever. Like, you're not religious because the community said you have to be. Like many people did for many generations. Like, you have to keep the Jewish people going no matter what. So that means you keep halacha exactly black and white and robotic and the way it says. People want the content of it. They want the connection. They want the point of it. They want a relationship. Just like we want a relationship with a woman, we want a relationship with God, we want a relationship with ourselves, we want a relationship with our friends. We want real relationships now. And that's actually an advantage of our generation, that we're going to come out with a very real intimate experience. And that's why I hope when you walk away from this course, you've been given some tools. But in the end, the final word is, and that's why it was amazing this guy asked that question, is religion is not the goal. The goal is, and not Shomer Negia is definitely not the goal. Yeah, the goal is, Shomer Negia is just a tool. The goal is the relationships. have to be real, and connection has to be real, and it's a process, and there's tools and there's methodologies, and we have to use everything that we've got to make it a success and to enjoy our relationships. And that, I hope all those different points are helpful, and I hope you do some of the inner work to make it happen, and you'll find happy relationships. And please God, you'll be zochim, you'll merit real intimacy, because there's nothing better than that. And we'll meet again and for simchas, because one of the guys from last year already messaged me about 2 weeks ago from last course, and thank God he's engaged.
Wow.
Yeah. So he came out of your program a year later, and he's already engaged.
Why would I know that?
Yeah.
They said it 5 times.
Who's that?
MASHA, everyone.
Yeah, so he's engaged, and I don't know, exactly if my course helped him, but I do know that the point is there is it's not like years and years away. These are things right now that are happening, and he's going to have to go into that relationship, and hopefully some of the things I've said and some things we learned, some of the questions you asked and the people before asked will be beneficial, because this is real life now, and you're going to have to be with this person day in day out for a long time, so you might as well make it the best. Enjoy.